that the United States is not a situation where a government is overseeing corporations. Corporations is overseeing the government.
Yep. I love this. I use this one a lot when talking to people. And I'll sit there and they'll say, how are you going to convince Republicans to get behind supporting myself in the general election? And I'll sit there and say, well, again, go back and meet them where they're at. And so they sit there and we'll make America great again. Okay, tell me when America was great. What are we going back to? And so many of them, they'll use this weaponized nostalgic version of the 1950s and 1960s and say, well, that's when everything was great. I was like, well, first of all, the 1950s and 1960s economy did not work for everybody. But if you want to believe that, what is it about that time that you look at this? Well, we were investing in science, and we were investing in schools, and we were building infrastructure. We were doing all these things. It's like, okay, do you know what the top tax rate was in 1960? And they'll say, no. I was like, it was 70%. Mm-hmm. And they're like, well, I was like, if we're going to invest in working class Americans, we do have to look at those sorts of things. We have to recognize the fact that we've got to be able to build in a mechanism to reinvest in working class Americans like we did in the 90s, but it has to be all Americans. And what we've seen in the economy that we look back on favorably, even though, like I said, even though we know historically it didn't work for everybody, but the aspects that we try to remember, the good parts, we look at that and say, well, that's where we were invested. We were focusing on good union jobs, where a waitress could have a living wage and live a healthy life. And we've gone away from that. And I think that we do have to have that conversation. That, again, is not a Democrat or Republican issue. That's a lived experience issue of so many people in our community. And we have an opportunity to claw back those Reagan Democrats that left in the early 80s because they felt like they were getting left behind. And now, they're finding themselves in that same situation where economically they have not moved forward. And now they're looking for that vision. But they're tired of two parties that are so focused on corporate interests and not average Americans that they've lost faith in both.